Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jazz Talk, my favorite segment of the show where I interview local jazz musicians. This week I have Ethan. Ethan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good as well. Well, first of all, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do around the area and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing drums for quite a while. I play with a bunch of different people around town. I'll play with the main group that I'm in, which is Pocket Break. That it's got a few people that have been on the show before. That's with David Romo, Jeremiah Romo, Heaven Watts, and Brett Ramirez. We're having a good time, kind of starting to pick up on some more gigs now. And then I play a lot with Austin, Brazil as well around the area. But I've been, I've been playing in the area, jazz specifically for, probably, 5 years at this point, something like that. So it's been a good time. Yeah, and I do enjoy it.
Awesome.
That's the main thing that I do around town.
Awesome. Yeah. And then when did you start playing jazz?
That started when I was in high school. Yeah. So I had been playing percussion since I was in 6th grade. But I didn't, and I kind of started playing drum set around that time. I got my, the drum set that I have now, I got that I think when I was in 7th grade.
Wow, okay.
Or something like that from my uncle. But I didn't actually start playing jazz until I was a sophomore in high school. And then I didn't take it seriously until I was a freshman in college.
I see.
So it was kind of, I was in the jazz band at Emerald High School. It's kind of a way to burn a class period without having to take anything a little more serious.
Yeah,
but
I see. And then how did you find out about jazz band? Obviously, you said you had this program, but was there a specific time where you were like, I should give this a try out to just, give myself more opportunity to learn?
So when I was in high school, when I was a freshman, there's this guy that I went to school with. His name's Drew, and he was the drummer for the jazz band. He's a few years older than me, but he just straight up missed a rehearsal at some point, and I just happened to be in the band hall. Yeah. And Scott Myers was the director. He asked me, he was like, "Hey, so you can play drums, I guess. We just need you to keep time and do your best." And I played, and I was like, that's all right. And then I ended up going to that concert at Emerald High, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And so I ended up joining, and I learned a lot from Scott. He's a great trombone player. Awesome. Learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot from Drew as well, just from him being older than me.
Awesome. And then obviously you talked a little bit about how you do a lot with jazz steel in your life and how you got introduced to it. And then you did say you didn't start taking jazz more seriously till later on.
Right.
But when were you so attracted to jazz? Obviously you had this interest at first, but then obviously a passion grew for it as years went on. How exactly did that happen for you?
That kind of connection to it, where it became more passionate and not just something to kill time. That was in college, and that was from what I've learned from the instructors I had, Austin Brazil and Jim Laughlin. Yeah. My idea of playing drums for a long time was I have a part that I need to fill in this group, and I just do my part and it's fine, because that's what it is in drumline, that's what it is in concert band, all that kind of stuff. But in jazz it's completely different, because it's the drums aren't just there to keep time, they're there because they're another instrument, it's another voice, it's another part of the music. So having my eyes opened to how the drums can fit in with other pieces and how those other pieces fit in with other pieces is that was really eye-opening. I found that really interesting and a lot more engaging than other kinds of percussion and music and things like that.
So you would say the two different ensembles you would play back in high school, would your mindset change a lot? I know you already explained pretty well how you try to fit your sound more into a specific group than another one. How differently do you think when you're playing in these two different ensembles?
It's super different. It's so crazy different, because the goal when if you're in concert band on the instrument that you're playing, the point of that is just to fit in and to not stick out at all, and just to fill this gap in the sound spectrum of the piece and all that kind of stuff. And then when you switch into drumline, the drumline for marching band is a huge part of drumline. And that's a lot of like, you need to sound, it's you and however many other snare drum players or however many other bass players or whatever, and you need to sound like one person on the field. So there's not a lot of like creativity or expression or anything like that like there is in jazz, or even a little bit in concert band where you can kind of interpret the music. It is very much just like, you are going to play this part exactly like this, exactly like everyone else. And something that it didn't fully click in my head until I was in college is just even like the technique of playing the instrument and like how you're holding the sticks and how you're hitting the drum and all that kind of stuff. It's completely different from spot to spot, but it's more like once you go from concert band to drumline to jazz band, no shade on people who are concert band directors, but when you go up that line up to jazz band, it's just it requires a lot more of your attention and a lot more of your touch and a lot more of your listening and all of that kind of stuff.
I see. Yeah. And then what are some of your favorite jazz artists, and why are they your favorites?
I listen to an okay amount of jazz, but it's not a ton. I will say, as far as drummers go, for jazz, Dave Weckl is ridiculous. He played with the he played with a bunch of people, but I found out about him through the Chick Corea Electric Band, and just with Chick Corea in general. He is unbelievable. He's not this other drummer's not necessarily like a jazz drummer specifically, but Nate Smith is incredible. He plays again with a whole bunch of people, but I found out about him through the Fearless Flyers. Like with him and Wolfpack and all that kind of stuff. He's incredible. I'm trying to think. As far as like just a straight up jazz player, Brian Blade is unbelievable. He played with the Chick Corea trio off of one of my favorite jazz albums that I listen to. But they're all ridiculous.
Awesome. Yeah. And then personally, what are some of your favorite subgenres of jazz? Either that be, or you can differentiate the ones you like listening to, or even like the types of jazz you like playing.
That's a good question. For playing, man, I don't know. I really do like playing a samba.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of fun to play, and more of like a kind of like a grinding swing, I guess. Like nothing too fast or too slow.
Yeah.
I guess if you consider funk a subgenre of jazz, that is my favorite.
I see.
Funk is it's so much fun to play. But as far as listening, I like listening to a lot more kind of ballad stuff, and a lot more kind of like smaller trio type of things. Like if I'm remembering right, David had showed me this album, but I think it's the Ray Brown trio. Yes, Ray Brown trio. The album Solar Energy. I love listening to Ray Brown and Christian McBride. I listen to a lot more, I guess, bassists than I do drummers.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I do the same when I'm playing too. I mean, whatever bassist I'm playing with, he's the main person that I'm listening to kind of glue everything together. Awesome.
Yeah. And then what are some role models you have in the world of jazz?
That's a good question. I mean, the like people personally that I know, definitely Austin Brazil. I mean, he has taught me basically it's the vast majority of what I know about jazz, and the wisdom that he has given me and what he has taught me and all that kind of stuff is the main influence of how I play today and what I listen to and how I listen to other players and things like that. And he's really, really good. So he's a big one. And I guess I would also say Drew, that I went to high school with. I mean, he's the reason that I even considered joining jazz bands, because he missed he missed a rehearsal, and I happened to sit in on it, and I did awful, but yeah, they're both definitely Austin though. Austin's
Awesome.
a huge inspiration.
Yeah, awesome. And then obviously you've talked a little bit about how you gig a lot, especially with Pocket Break. You're getting a lot more gigs. But can you tell me the story about your first ever gig and how you were feeling?
Yeah. So my first gig was in high school with the jazz band. I was a sophomore, and it was at some place on. I think it's called Timeless Events. There was some kind of private event going on there. It was over. It's like on like South Washington,
Yeah,
like way south of the Loop, and it was weird. It's because we were a high school band. We're crammed into the corner of this room, and it wasn't paid, of course, but we were crammed into the corner of this room, and we played for I don't even know 30 minutes. So it probably took us 30 minutes to set up. So half the time that we were there was playing this gig. No one's listening. No one's clapping in between songs.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm doing. So that was interesting, I guess. It was very weird. All the gigs that we did with the Emerald High Jazz Band were super weird. Like we played in the Dillards at the mall after hours one time.
Interesting.
For, I don't even know, there's maybe 50 people there that were just like walking around looking at like vendors. It was super weird.
Interesting.
But in college, I would consider like the gigs I did in college to be like actually my first gigs. I can't remember where my first one is, but one that does stick out was another weird one. It was in Guyman, Oklahoma, and they had like this boat tour over at like a lake over there, and we were just set up next to the lake, playing out to the people on the boat, and they can't hear us, and they're not paying attention, and that was an odd gig. But I do remember getting paid for that one. That might have been the first gig I got paid for.
Interesting. Awesome. Yeah. And then what has been the coolest gig you've ever been a part of?
The coolest gig? I would have to say Pocket Break. We had an opportunity to go on behalf of Amarillo College as like a demonstration of what Amarillo College alumni have learned from being at AC and stuff like that. That was in like the middle of nowhere. It was like in between 287 and I-40 in this place called Wellington, Texas. And they had some kind of private event there, but we were like the main event. We were up on a stage, and people were there for whatever the event that they had going on for AC. But we were like the final whatever. So we were all on stage, and everyone is there to like watch us. And that's one of the first, I guess, jazz gigs that I've had that is like they are there to see us specifically. They're not there for any other reason. Like if you're at a restaurant, they're there to eat, and then you just happen to be there. So that's probably one of the coolest gigs that I've been a part of as far as jazz goes.
Awesome. Yeah. And then obviously gigging and networking is such a important thing in jazz. But can you tell me like the very importance of how networking is for jazz and gigging and stuff like that, and how you approach that when you know you want to do more gigs and stuff like that?
It's super, super important. I would say almost every single gig that I have had has been directly or indirectly related to Austin, Brazil, because he's gigged around here so much, and just being at Amarillo College and really, you know, like listening to him and Jim Laughlin and taking them seriously, and like really taking in their knowledge. I mean, they were much more willing to be like, hey, we have a gig coming up at this restaurant. Do you guys want to fill in? And so just by knowing them, I mean, he's part of the reason that we've gotten any gigs at like the Drunken Oyster or gigs at like Butler's or Crush or anything like that, is just because we know him and he's put in a good word for us, or we knew Dr. Laughlin and he put in a good word for us. There's also the other aspect of, you know, when you're at the gig, if you maintain yourself professionally, you know, people will come up to you afterwards and they'll be like, hey man, that sounded great. And I got this thing coming up. Can you guys play for that? Or can I get your business card and we can have we have some events coming down the line for whatever and all that kind of stuff. Like we played, it was a couple weeks ago, we played at Butler's, and there was some guy that came up and was telling us how great we were and say, man, you guys sounded great. I'm actually the booking manager at this restaurant, at this other restaurant. We have kind of some spots coming up. Let me get your information and we can set that up. So, I mean, getting in to places and playing with other people is really all about connections. Because, I mean, before I was playing jazz, I was playing a lot of like hard rock and blues and stuff like that. And I went around with a couple other of the members in that group. And we were like handing out CDs and stuff like that of like our demos of what we can play. I think we went to 40, between restaurants and bars, we went to 40 places, and we got a gig from 2 of them. So just by knowing people that are already in the space and being willing to talk to them and willing to be like, hey, I really like doing this. I would like to have some more opportunities. I mean, that really, opens up a whole lot of doors. It's super important.
Awesome, yeah. And I did want to get into Battle of the Bands a little bit. Obviously, y'all did amazing at Battle of the Bands. Can you tell me a little bit about how, that came up in y'all's conversations, how y'all decided to do it, and what the experience was like?
Yeah, it was a good experience. We had we had seen the application kind of open up for it, because we were at, me and David and Jeremiah and Brett, I guess all of us except for Heaven, we were all playing for a different group in a different Battle of the Bands. And we're like, well, I wonder if there's any more that are kind of around. And we saw the one that was at the Lumberyard. Yeah. So we just applied for it. From what I was told, it was on a voting system to get in. I don't know how we got in, but we did, which I'm okay with. But it was really good. It ran while we were there. It ran very smoothly. Awesome. The main person that we ended up talking to get all of that sorted out is someone that David and I went to school with. His name's Grant Fithen. He's part of a booking company. I feel bad that I can't remember. Loud and Heavy Booking, I'm pretty sure. But he he helped run a lot of that. He was announcing while he was there and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it ran really well. We met with most of the other bands that were there, or at least members of those bands that were there, and they were all super nice. Everyone was very supportive of each other and giving each other props and helping where we could with moving things and loading and unloading and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good time. It was a really good time. Awesome. It also does help that we won.
Yeah, a bit. Almost basically a clean sweep. I see. Best percussion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course. So was it obviously live music is a big thing people really appreciate, especially live jazz, especially with the June Jazz happening. Was that a good experience of being able to see how many people want to go and see live bands and see these musicians want to perform live for audiences?
Oh yeah, it was the first time that I had that experience in Amarillo of seeing a ton of people seeing local musicians specifically was at June Jazz. I had never really gone to June Jazz until I started at Amarillo College. And I mean, the amount of people that show up every night is unbelievable. It's crazy. It's that whole courtyard area just completely full of people and just enough space to walk in between them. So that did kind of blow me away, because I was like, there's probably not any like major music scene here in Amarillo. It's probably a lot of people playing at restaurants and things like that. But yeah, between all of the different like Battle of the Bands and competitions and things like that, and also just like with June Jazz and things like that, I mean, it's super cool seeing how many people in the area want to see live music. They want to see local music and they want to support. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah. And then for you personally, Who is an artist, dead or alive, that you wish you could perform with?
This is wishful thinking, but Chick Corea.
Yeah.
Chick Corea would be a big one. I don't know if I will ever be at that level to even be considered. But yeah, definitely Chick Corea. He's easily he's probably my favorite jazz musician. He's great.
Awesome. Yeah. And then when you're improvising, what exactly is going through your mind?
Nothing. There's nothing going through my mind. It used to be, I don't know, I used to try and force it and try to like really kind of force myself to play in a certain way because I've heard it on a record before and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, what's mainly going through my mind when I am playing and I'm improvising and doing, because pretty much I'm improvising the entire time. Because as one of my percussion directors said, Brandon Borup, he was like, we come from a very long lineage of people who cannot read music. So most of the stuff that we end up playing, I mean, I don't have any music for.
Yeah.
But the main thing I'm doing is I'm just listening to other people. I play with David a lot. He plays bass. And pretty much whenever we are playing together, I'm really, really focused on David and what he is playing. Unless, there's like a solo going on, I'll be more focused on them. But as far as like improvising like a solo, just playing by myself, it's mainly Panic. I'm not very good at it. But it's, I take a lot of like cues, I guess, and inspiration and things like that from listening to the melodic players play. Because, I think the goal of soloing on drum set is not to sound like a drum set, it's to sound like another instrument that you can like follow the melody of and you can follow the form of and all of that kind of stuff. Not to say that there's not a place to, shred and go crazy, but especially with combo stuff, I mean, it's a lot of I'm just listening to everyone else and I'm not really thinking about what I'm playing specifically. It's just kind of happening along with everybody else. Awesome.
Yeah. And then I like to ask all my drum set players when they come on, for you personally, what more accessories do you like? So I've had guests in the past be like, I want the bare bones, drums, but give me as many cymbals as you can. And other people just like, bare bones drum set. For you personally, what is your dream setup?
I'm pretty bare bones. My setup right now is pretty close to my dream setup, minus the brands of what everything is. So like a nice crisp snare drum, a rack tom and a floor tom and a kick drum. That's all I want for drums. And then a hi-hat, a ride cymbal, and a crash ride, and maybe another crash cymbal. And that's pretty much the killer setup. I also like using the sizzler on the ride cymbal to make it kind of change the texture a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I'm barely using anything on my drum set.
Not even a little cowbell?
No. I mean, I've got one, but it's mainly for, if we're playing something, I'll hand it to the singer and I'm like, yeah, you can, whatever. You can play the cowbell on this.
Awesome. Yeah. And then why do you think jazz and people's emotions have such a close connection to each other?
I feel like jazz is, I mean, a lot of music is, but I feel that jazz is very personal.
Yeah.
It's a lot more, I guess, vulnerable would be a way to put it. Because, I mean, the majority of, especially like combo playing, is a lot of improvisation.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like what you think is the best decision to play and what you think it should sound like and what you think this and you think that and all that kind of stuff. So I think it connects a lot with people's emotions and players' emotions as well, just because of how I guess bare bones it is. I mean, if you want to get crazy and go into the music theory, it's very far from bare bones.
Yeah.
But as far as like the music that a lot of us look at, especially for jazz standards and things like that, I mean, my page is every measure just has slashes in it, and then it's the number of measures, and then it tells me what the style is, and like that's it. That's the only thing on my page. The vast majority of the time when bassists are walking, there's nothing on that page except for chord changes. And so they're like, well, what notes am I going to play that lead into these? What do I think sounds best? What do I like from the people that I listen to? So I guess just for how personal it is to the musicians, I think that personalization of it it speaks for itself through the music, and listeners can connect with that.
Yeah. Awesome. And then what is one of your favorite memories relating to jazz?
So, it was during a rehearsal at Amarillo High. There was a pianist there. His name was Steven. And he may or may not have accidentally knocked the electric piano onto the floor from like 5 feet off the ground.
Okay.
And Mr. Myers, he was like, dude, what are you doing? And all he said was, oops. And then he picked it up, and Mr. Myers just blew up on him because he just didn't care about dropping this $1,000 piano on the ground. He just did not care. And that's a pretty good one. It's like things like that, and it's the stuff that happens outside of the music. That's always it's very funny.
Yeah.
David and I, another thing that is more kind of recurring, not like a specific memory, but anytime that I think he can, because he does it all the time and it drives me nuts. I have this huge pet peeve for bassists. If any bassists are listening, I'm being serious. You play a bass instrument, I need you to stop playing those really high notes. Just play the regular notes. And I've told David that a ton of times, and I think he intentionally goes out of his way to play the highest notes possible on that bass, and he doesn't stop until I notice, and it drives me nuts. And I wish he would stop, and he's not going to.
Interesting. Awesome. Yeah. And then besides music, what else inspires you?
This is kind of a lame answer, but just wanting to succeed and wanting to be better. I'm a huge, not that I do it as much as I probably should, but I'm a huge advocate for just practicing and just trying new things and learning new things. I think just succeeding for the sake of succeeding is something that really does drive me. And just the desire of wanting to be better, just for the purpose of being better. I used to be pretty bad about like, well, I want to be better because this person is better than me and I need to be better than them. But once that mindset kind of switched, because that mindset probably switched in college, because I was the only percussionist when I was at Amarillo College. So there wasn't any competition. There wasn't anyone that I'm like, oh, I'm going to try and beat them. Yeah. It was more just like, well, I just need to be bettering myself for the sake of bettering myself. So that's something that does inspire me and push me and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And then what has been the best advice you have ever gotten relating to music?
I think the best advice that I've ever been given is just to not take it too seriously. Yeah. Especially when, you're at a gig, even an important gig. You're there to play music, and if you're taking it super seriously and you're super stressed about it and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be able to hear it in your playing, because you're going to be more tense and you're going to be more in your head and make more mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So you just got to let go, and you just got to let it happen. Even if you make a mistake, the odds of someone knowing that you made a mistake are really low, especially if they're not a musician, or they don't know the song very well or whatever. So, you just gotta chill. Just chill, relax. Don't be too crazy or gung-ho about like, well, I have to play it this way and I have to, just do what you want to do. If someone doesn't like it, they'll tell you, and you can go from there if you want.
There you go.
So, just don't take it too seriously.
Awesome. And the last question I have for you, obviously you did get into it just a little bit, but what advice do you have for upcoming jazz musicians? People growing up wanting to go out and gig and stuff like that. What advice would you have for them? If
you want to get better, you just have to do it. You can't be too scared to gig. You can't be too scared to play in front of other people. You know, like there's a jazz jam at the 806 coffee place that's on 6th Street. There's a jazz jam every second Sunday of the month. And the number of times that I've seen people show up and say that they played an instrument and like, well, why don't you come up here and play? And they're like, oh, no, I don't want to. I don't feel like I'm good enough. That the only way that you are going to get better is playing with other people. Yeah. You can practice as much as you want in your room, but that is not the same as you play something and you feel the other instruments responding to what you're playing and following you. That's you just have to get out there and do it. You can't be afraid to, well, maybe I'm not good enough yet. Because maybe you're not, but you're not going to get any better unless you go out there and you play with other people. That's super important.
There we go. Awesome. And this next little segment I like to give to all my guests to give them a chance to shout out anyone that you think needs a shout out, promote anything coming up and stuff like that. So take it away. The moment's yours.
Please come and watch Pocket Break. We are on Instagram at pocket.break. I think our next gig is on Monday. It's at 575 on Civic Circle. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. Please feel free to come out and support all your local musicians and things like that. I want to shout out my wife. She's great. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Go out and see live music.
Awesome. There we go. And then I like to ask all my guests to recommend one song to be added on the Jazzy Fridays playlist forever. What song would you like to recommend today?
I would like to recommend FTB by Robert Glasper.
Is there a certain reason you picked this song?
It's just awesome. It's just like it has like the kind of basic jazz where there's like a chorus, and then when you go into the solos, it's a completely different form, and it's all free form, and they're just kind of playing off each other. It feels like a jam session. It's awesome.
Awesome. There we go. Well, thank you again for tuning in to Jazz Talk, where I interview local jazz musicians, and thank you once again for being my very, very special guest. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you all in a little bit. We have plenty of segments coming up. You don't want to miss it. Also, make sure to see the Instagram post to see what pose Ethan picked. It's going to be awesome. Okay, once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you all in a little bit.